Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name's Max and today we're doing episode 8 of Wreck This Journal. Normally I do like a mixture of art ones and weird activity ones, but today we've just got art ones. I'm not sure why, but just when I was fucking through and picking the things, I ended up just picking art ones. Should still be fun though. First one we've got is colour this entire page. As you can see, last episode I kind of ruined it by spraying fixative and it bled through, but we'll just have to stick something over that. I just stuck in a semi-thick piece of cartridge paper to one side, which may or may not have been necessary because I ended up using paint anyway. And there was a tiny bit that bled through onto the opposite page, as you can see, but that didn't matter. The instruction does specify colour, not paint, and in hindsight that may specifically mean it was asking for pencils or pens, but paint still is a colour, so it's technically not wrong. I just thought that, you know, I've got a habit of having simple ideas and taking forever to do them and then being angry about it after, so I thought doing it with paint would just be way quicker. The concept for this page was basically to just fill it with red roses. And the colour the entire page, like the entire bit specifically, that's not much of a challenge because I basically do that anyway with most of the pages. That makes it quite an open-ended prompt, so really I could have done anything, but I chose something very simple. All of this week's pages are quite simple because I felt like having a bit of a slower paced kind of video, because most of the time the Wreck This Journal videos have at least like 3 pretty high commitment pages. Just felt like doing something a bit more relaxed instead of like brutally racing against time throughout the week. As you can see, after I painted it and waited for the paint to supposedly dry, I mean I didn't, I just sort of kind of waited a bit, wasn't completely dry. But anyway, I went over and did the little rose pattern in a ballpoint pen, and I added the shading with a coloured pencil, which you can't really see very well on the camera, but it's there. And also, for some reason, the whole thing looks really kind of tealy, like it's more blue, well no, it's like a balance of blue and green, whereas in real life it's very much just green, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. I feel like the paint could have done with another coat or two, especially the dark green at the background. I think you can even tell on camera that it's a bit patchy. But the paper in the Wreck This Journal is very thin because, well, it has to be so it's affordable. So I don't think it would have taken another layer of paint. I tried to make up for that a bit by adding the coloured pencil shading on the leaves in the background as well. It didn't make too much of a difference on the background though, because I didn't have like a pencil that was darker than the background itself, so I was just kind of like layering the same colour on top of it and it didn't make any difference. Here's the finished thing. I do quite like it, despite the fact it's quite simple. Page 30. Draw lines in motion on the bus, on a train while walking. I don't take the bus or the train anywhere, so I'll just walk around. What an entertaining video clip of me walking in a circle enthusiastically. For some reason, in the intro when I said there weren't any activity ones, I didn't count that. I mean, it's like 11 seconds, so it doesn't really count as an activity, it's just like walking around. But anyway, I do realise I could have sped this process up a lot by just using the yellow Posca pen to draw the lines while walking around instead of doing pencil first. But for some reason I didn't think of that at all, and I took an extra hour of my life to trace over the pencil lines, which you could kind of see through the paint anyway, so it was just a pointless activity. The concept for this one was basically to like turn the scribbly line into spaghetti, which I think I succeeded in that. It does look like spaghetti, it just took a very long time, and it was one of those things that I mentioned earlier where I have a simple idea that takes me hours, and then I get upset about it. Yay. After I traced the pencil lines with the yellow Posca pen, I got out a bright orange pencil and I just went around the edge of the line. which was, I mean, it was essential for the spaghetti making process. It definitely made it look like spaghetti. It just took a very long time. And this whole time I was just thinking to myself, what am I going to do about the background? Because originally I was like, yeah, it's going to look like baked beans out of a, well, not baked beans, but you know, like the spaghetti that's like basically baked beans, like in baked bean sauce, like tin spaghetti. Like, it's really gross, but it was supposed to be like that. And I thought, no, I can't be bothered to colour in the background orange, so I'm going to colour it in green instead, because that makes a difference. I should have just painted the whole thing orange to start with, let it dry, and then done the walking around bit, but I wasn't thinking properly. I didn't wait long enough to have a solid idea of what I wanted to do. Like, I just got started without planning it properly, and that is how we make these mistakes. So, life advice, always plan it properly. Anyway, while I took years painstakingly colouring in all the gaps and shading them, I thought, you know what? No, I will not make this mistake to the full extent. I am just going to colour in half of the background green and the other half can just be empty, and it's a deep conceptual like commentary on life and how everything's always half finished because art. This is it. I'm not over fond of it, but you know, 2 hours of my life. Enjoy. Cover this page using only office supplies. I'm not completely sure what constitutes as office supplies, but we'll see what I can find. As you can tell, I am far too young to be working in an office job, and I don't know anyone who works in an office job, so I'm just assuming office supplies is the same thing as just sort of generic stationery. So I got some post-it notes, because for some reason we've got a million different colours of post-it notes in our house. And I stuck them down and made like a collage. I tried to vary the kind of angles they were placed at a bit, but for some reason I gave up on that when I did the other page. Like, the first page is very angular and nice and asymmetrical, and then the next one I'm like, ooh, yes, I'm gonna place these all perfectly in perfect little squares. And I realised I was doing it and I tried to fix it with that one there that you can see, and I stuck that random corner bit there. But, you know, it's still kind of noticeable, mainly because I pointed it out. And you could still kind of see the instructions through the post-it notes, so I went over those, traced them as best I could. The where I stuck the corner bit down, I couldn't see what it said, so I kind of guessed and tried to copy the font a bit. I'm also assuming the ballpoint pens are an office supply, because, like, what do you write with in an office? I mean, do you write in an office, or is it all on computers? I don't know. I've never been to an office. And then I decided, well, I'll draw some stationery. Let's just call it stationery, because it is stationery. Maybe they use it in offices, maybe they don't. So here we have a ruler. I added all the numbers on it and everything. I also traced a pair of scissors. And for some reason my scissors had like a mini ruler on them, so I traced that as well. I did a bit of shading, but I didn't want to do too much because my ballpoint pen is very sticky and I knew I'd get all the ink on my hands and then smudge it everywhere. Which I kind of did anyway, so nothing gained really. I also traced a set square and a small roll of tape. I added the numbers onto that and all of the little details, gave it some shading. And I also drew like a clock. Random, a very wobbly clock from memory. I guess they have clocks in an office. I mean, how else do they know when it's home time? Not quite sure why it has to be so wobbly, but it is. And also I made it 3 AM because I'm quirky and I always make it 3 AM whenever I draw a clock. I also tried to trace a ballpoint pen, but as you can see it didn't work and it just looks like a big black smudge. Here's the finished thing. I actually really like this page even though it's very simple. I like the colours in the background and how it didn't mean I had to put too much effort into the drawings. Page 156. Glue in a page from a magazine, circle words you like. Again, a very simple prompt. This one involved literally no artistic talent whatsoever, like I didn't even draw anything on it. Originally I was planning on doing one of those things where you circle the words and then you like make intricate designs coming off of them. I don't know if you've seen that trend or if it's even still a trend. But I kind of felt like doing that would crowd the page a bit too much, so I just added some sparkly washi tape to be kind of the background, to make it look like it was stuck on something fun and shiny. And I used cutouts from a film magazine, like a really old one from, I think, 2020. and as you can see, it's like I think it's like a review or a description of something, and it's like the first one there is Onward and then The Mandalorian Season 1, which are both things that I've watched, and it was interesting to read what the descriptions were, and it was pretty standard stuff. There was no kind of harrowing news there, but I do agree with the star ratings that they were given. I used a slightly different washi tape for the Onward side, because it's a more like fantasy-ish kind of film. I mean, it's like a Pixar film, so and I have this washi tape that's like a magical forest thing, so I used that. When it came to circling the words, I literally just got a pen that matched the colour of the background and circled words. On the left side, I circled all the words that began with an O, and then on the right side, I circled all of the words that started with an R, which there weren't actually that many of. I feel like this page is very different to what I normally do, and it's a bit out of place in the book. And when I do the final flip through, it's probably going to catch me off guard a bit. Anyway, here's the finished thing. Not that it's that exciting of a thing to look at, it's just a giant body of text, to be honest. And the second to last page, cover this page in tape, create some kind of pattern. That sounds like a nice easy one, and I've got some very nice washi tapes that I can use for that. I think this was actually my favourite page to do. I literally just did what the instructions said. I got 4, 5 or 6, I don't know how many. I got different washi tapes and I just stuck them in a pattern, and just then you saw the other page, which is, like a half done page. Originally I had this vision of speeding up the process by putting loads of pages on Instagram instead of on YouTube, but then I only ever did that with one because I've got loads of other more exciting stuff to put on Instagram. So yeah, that's what that is. It might pop up on there at some point in the future if you care, but I don't, so I'm not expecting you to. So this was the same washi tape set that I used in the previous one, the Onward page, and it's just like a cute little woodland themed tape set. I'm not quite sure what else I can say about it. I paid £5 for it, and it came with like 20 in the set. I found it kind of funny how there was a whole page about like covering the page in tape, because I cover every page in tape because that's how I stop it from being like smudgy. Not every medium you use will smudge like this. Nothing was going to happen to this page, but I still gave it another coat of tape to seal it in so that the whole thing matches and is cohesive, because I thought it would be weird if some pages were shiny and others weren't. And also the ends of the tape were kind of fraying off a bit, and this washi tape's pretty cheap, so it doesn't stick awfully well. You would think that by putting tape on all the pages I'd be well practiced at sticking tape on pages, but I struggled a bit with this one because of the angles that I was putting them at, and I kept having to cut tiny little bits of tape, as you can see I just did there, to fit in the little cracks, and I had to cut all them at the perfect angles, which I actually was alright at. A couple times I did it really neatly, and then other times it looked really jagged and gnarly, and I had to like cut the whole thing off. Here is the finished thing. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!